This is a response to the Skeptical Heretics' How Not to Describe the Upcoming Election and HappyCabbie's Why Voting for a Third Party is a Wasted Vote. I'm going to start with Skeptical Heretics because I have the least to say about it. For the most part, a great video. I will say, I want to add, that when HappyCabbie said that President Obama was attacking civil liberties, and Skeptical Heretic inserted, well, that's bullshit. Although President Obama's record on civil liberties is, by and large, a great one, I can point out one particular moment that inflamed a certain segment of the populace, and that was those people who understand what habeas corpus is and why we have it. When Barack Obama signed into law the NDAA, which was, 93 out of 100 senators also, voted for it. So it's not like it was his fault, entirely. But when the Obama administration put in their complaints about the NDAA, when they wanted to have some things changed, they complained that Obama, that the president, the office of the president, would have to answer to Congress for these terrorists that were being detained indefinitely, like once a year, and he didn't want that oversight. So not only was he not respecting habeas corpus by signing this into law, he was actually saying we want to disrespect it even more. So that, to me, is a civil liberty that was being attacked. Not just by him, by pretty much every congressman, senator that had anything to do with voting for it. We need to completely flush every politician that we have sometimes. Sometimes I just don't agree with all of them. On to HappyCabbie's video. Now, I've been seeing this a lot lately, that Republicans who have this sense that part of their base isn't going to show up to vote for Mitt Romney, they're looking at why that happened. And the reason why we are at this crossroads where, in particular, Republicans are telling libertarians to vote for Mitt Romney instead of Barack Obama, if they had anything to do with the Republican Party to begin with. The reason why is because the Republican Party for this entire election season has been shafting those libertarians who joined them. People that became delegates to the Republican Party in order to try to change the platform from within. When you accept that there's only two parties and that you need to vote for the lesser of two evils, then what do you have to do? Well, if you don't like either platform, you have to join that party and try to change the platform, right? Then what happens when people try that is they throw up barriers. Now, I'll leave a link in the description box to Skep's video, to Cabbie's video, and also to a video from the RNC where the scripted yay happened. Now, some of you might look at something like this and say, oh, well, you're just a conspiracy theorist. No, this shit actually happened. A vote as to whether they should close the floor to changing any more rules of the RNC, to be able to change the platform of the RNC. A vote happened, and closing the floor, they said, everyone who's yay, say yay. Everyone who's nay, say nay. Well, the guy who was on the floor doing that, he was supposed to be responsible for listening, and if he heard more nays or yays, if he heard a 50-50 mix, and in this case the nays were actually louder, but you can't really go by that because they were very impassioned. Okay, the yays were like, yay, and then the nays were like, nay, don't close it, we have changes to make. In this case, he was responsible for counting, okay? He was supposed to stop right there and go, okay, well, you can't tell just by ear. Let's count and see how many people actually vote either way. And that takes a lot of time. And what happened was there was somebody behind him filming the teleprompter as it was going up, and the teleprompter said, "The yays have it." Psychically, before the vote happened, the person who was scripting it knew, oh, well, that's of course going to be a yay. They don't want any changes to the platform. No. Actually, that's by and large just par for the course for everything that happened to these people who were trying to change the platform. Also, I followed a group of people who were supporting Ron Paul to be the nominee. And what happened at the RNC, right before the RNC started, was a rule change. And that rule change was, to most of us skeptics here on YouTube, we would recognize this as moving the goalpost. Ron Paul had met the requirement to have 5 states where he won the plurality in it, and he could have been nominated on the floor. Now, he probably wasn't going to win because he at most had 7 states. Okay? They weren't seating the delegation from Maine. That was another, fuck Ron Paul delegates thing. But he had enough to get nominated on the floor. Okay? Instead of allowing him to get nominated on the floor and maybe speak his mind and try to tell the rest of the Republican Party on national television that there was another sect within them that had some slightly different values, they decided, well, we're in danger of having someone speak against our platform on our own, TV show. What are we going to do? Let's move the goalposts, and make it so that we need 8 states rather than 5, because that'll at least, even if Maine gets seated, if he has all the states that he won, he still won't have enough for 8. So for one person in history, they actually decided to move the goalposts for everyone for all time. It is now harder for anyone else going forward in the future to try to change the platform of the Republican Party by being nominated as an alternative candidate at the RNC. They tried to change the platform, and what happened? They moved the goalposts so that it's even harder to change it ever again. Complete failure. Complete failure. And this shafting is something that most of those rhinos, Republican in name only, that were basically libertarians, who were trying to play ball with this 2-party lesser of 2 evils thing. Basically, they were all shafted, and they feel it. And the Republicans who know what happened there and know how badly they shafted these libertarians, they're worried. That's the worry that you see in HappyCabbie's eyes, is basically, come the election, you will be able to see all of these libertarians either writing Ron Paul's name in as a protest vote, or they're going to vote for Gary Johnson. On November 7th, when we have all of the numbers the day after the election, I want everyone to add up the Ron Paul vote, the write-in vote, in the states that allow write-in votes anymore, because it's so hard to, allow any form of direct democracy at all. Vote, our laws keep changing more and more towards, you're going to get more of the same and you're going to like it. Add up the Ron Paul votes and then add up the Gary Johnson votes and see if that is enough to cover the margin, for this election. And not just for, if Mitt Romney wins, if Barack Obama wins, either way, see if that was the margin. And you will see that these basically disenfranchised voters who have been, trying to change a platform and been denied so many times, see if they will make the difference. the worried Republicans think that that might be the case. Now, on my channel, I posted all the videos from every assembly that I went to as a Republican delegate. I didn't make it to the RNC, but I went to 4 different assemblies. And at those, the first one was the county assembly. Much the same thing happened at my county assembly, where there was a vote to, close any more discussion about rule changes, and there was a large group of people saying, no, we have more stuff to do. In fact, they had coordinated before that and told our chairman of our El Paso County Republicans, they told him that they had some things that they wanted to bring up on the floor. And it was agreed that they would be able to bring them up before he would bring up the, it doesn't look like we have anything else to do. I move that we close the floor. Before he would do that, he would allow them to speak, and it didn't happen. And I posted that video here on YouTube. Then at the state convention, we had that thing where the campaigns for Ron Paul and Rick Santorum, this was a little shifty, and some of it has to do with some betrayal from within Ron Paul's campaign, so it's not really the fault of Mitt Romney totally, but the grassroots effort that was supporting people other than Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum, which was by and large the majority of people in the assembly. Okay? You can tell that just from the cheers that you hear in the assembly, that they should have taken the entire state for Ron Paul. Right? What happened was, they get there, and an hour before the assembly, this slate that is passed out from the Ron Paul table, which is called the Unity Slate. Now, Rick Santorum had suspended his campaign that week, and basically this slate is supposed to tell all the delegates, okay, we need to all pool our votes for these particular delegates to send them on to the national level, right? We look at this slate, this piece of paper, and it's all Santorum delegates. Well, Santorum just suspended his campaign. And 2 of these people on the slate are like state senators. Why are we voting for these people? Well, we were told that it was a unity slate, and they were trying to play a prevent defense, to keep Mitt Romney from having this big momentum going into the RNC. Well, shortly thereafter, Rick Santorum decides to pledge his support for Mitt Romney. So basically sells all of his votes to Mitt Romney, with the promise that he'll accept all of his campaign debt, because money rules everything in elections. So all of these Ron Paul supporters had their support turned into basically Mitt Romney support. Had it sold right out from underneath them. I made videos, posted it here on my YouTube channel, and what I'm trying to show you here is there's a really good reason why people like HappyCabbie, who are voting for Mitt Romney, should be worried. And not just because Mitt Romney is so much like Barack Obama in a lot of ways that people aren't going to show up just based on that. But Mitt Romney himself has attacked his own base. Okay? This political season was particularly rough in the primaries. And for people like me who went to Ron Paul's rally and Rick Santorum's rally, filmed them both, put the video up on YouTube, you can see both of them attacking Mitt Romney. And Newt Gingrich did the same, but he didn't come to my city. But everything to know about why not to vote for Mitt Romney was said in the primaries by Republican, candidates. One of those things was, why put Mitt Romney forth as the nominee for the Republican Party when his Romney Care was just one step, the platinum step, different from Obamacare. You know, they're basically, you're voting for the same candidate. And the difference that I see after seeing other candidates point that out is basically, do you want a national level of authority over this healthcare plan, or do you want states to have their own? And in my opinion, both of them are more government control over your healthcare. But if you're going to go with the states having that power rather than the national oversight, that makes it so we would have to have 50 different watch groups watching for all of the corruption that's going to come out of these plans. Basically, 50 different corporations could all be making money bilking stuff and not creating enough news to make a national fervor against it. Whereas if one national centralized Obamacare would happen, then, you know, if it were privatized at all, we would be able to see it on a national scale. We could all get incensed together. So basically, voting for Mitt Romney's version of Obamacare, if he were to get elected, is basically voting for little corruptions all over the place that we can sweep under the rug and not have other states know what happens in other states. And, you know, if you go with the Obama option, you know, we could have one giant corrupt thing happen where a lot of money gets stolen, and it's going to be a very large amount, but we can all be incensed together. And this is coming from a guy who watched all of these Republican candidates rip Mitt Romney apart from within the party. Okay? So, the reason why these libertarians, or rhinos, you know, Republican in name only, the reason why they're voting third party is to send a message that if you shaft us, you're not going to win without us. Okay? We're growing in numbers. This is the Nolan political chart right here. Right? You can look it up on Google, find all sorts of different images for it, but basically it takes the left and right paradigm and adds more dimensions to it. You can see this also on politicalcompass.com. You know, take the test yourself and see where you fall. But basically, those of us who are left of center, but we also tend towards not wanting government in our lives, we're more towards the liberty and the anarchy and all this, you know. We were basically, you know, either or anyway, you know. We're here, we could go left, we could go right. You know, I could value economics more than I value social issues, you know, on any given day. And HappyCabbie is making the plea that, oh, Barack Obama hasn't done a good job, you know. My plea to you all here, if you are in this middle that doesn't like centrist candidates, which Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both fit in this square in the middle, okay? But that square is heading more statist. If you're one of those people who wants less government involvement in your life, right, just as a general principle, I'm going to say to you, you've got, maybe Barack Obama failed to do a couple of the things that he said he wanted to do. You know, maybe he changed his mind. You also have Mitt Romney and his promises, right? But maybe you're one of those people who saw a movement, a grassroots movement, try to rise up and challenge this whole two-party dichotomy paradigm. And you saw it get crushed by Mitt Romney and his lawyers and the old guard of the Republican Party. Okay? This personally affected me. And it personally affected many of the other people that I know. Daxon Islander here on YouTube, Lucky Dog 1351 here on YouTube. I can name a dozen other delegates who, we could all have a pity party and cry tears in our beer over this. But basically what we're going to do is send a message. And that message is, you ignored us, and we're not going to show up and support you when we got ignored and shafted at every time we tried to change some of this party's platform. Already we don't belong in either party. We already have some things we agree with and some things that we don't with both parties. We went with one, got shafted there, and in my personal case, I can go with winning everything on the social justice aspect, and just worrying about the economics later. Whereas I could have been concentrating on the economic side. But when we tried, and we tried to change a few of those planks of that platform, we got shafted. Links in the description box to a lot of what I've talked about in this video. Sorry it went so long. But my prediction in this election is go to realclearpolitics.com and see where they're putting all the polls. And then go to unskewedpolls.com, see where they're all putting all the polls. And then, one of them is going to be very wrong. And I'm betting, if I'm a betting man, that it will be Mitt Romney who will be completely shocked that the base that he thought would be there for him just disappears.